Hello, and thank you for joining me in another video. For those of you that are new here, my name is Howard. I've been investing for over a decade, and I've recently started this YouTube channel just to document my investing research and also the actions that I'm taking. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite stocks I've held for many years now, which is Rocket Lab. We've got some big news from them in terms of they've announced the date of their Q4 earnings. And this is going to be a particularly exciting one. So we're just going to get right into that now. But first of all, let's take a look in at what the stock has been doing. So as we can see, we had a bit of a bloody day yesterday, down 9%. And over the past week, we're down 14%. To be honest, this is not that surprising. The market, in particularly growth stocks, have taken a bit of a hit. And with Rocket Lab on the incredible run that it's been on, it's not too surprising to see this bit of a pullback. And in fact, if we can see any sort of consolidation around here, that would be a really, really great thing because it shows that it can show strength at these higher levels. But moving on to what does this mean? Well, if we have a look again, if we look at the last year to have a look at where we've come from since the last earnings, you can see past the last earnings, we've had one hell of a ride. So in the last 3 months of the year, we've gone from 60 all the way down to just dropping below 40. And then we peaked up as high as $99 as well. So since the last earnings, we've had a crazy ride on the stock price. And that does actually mean it's even more important when we look into the upcoming earnings. So this is the press release that Rocket Lab have just announced, and it's their Q4 earnings, and their full year results are going to be released on February the 26th. So we've got quite a way to go. We've still got a month to wait for this. It's going to be after the bell on the Thursday. And here we're going to get an overlook on, okay, the metrics or the numbers for the whole year, how they performed in Q4, which is of course very important because we're talking about a very fast growing company here. So we want to continue to see growth quarter on quarter, not just year on year. So it's going to be exciting to see what they're doing of that. But of course, when we're talking about a company like Rocket Lab with so much exciting stuff going on, we want to see all the updates they've got going in their space systems, the parts that they sell, the satellites they're manufacturing, and also the progress of Neutron. I'm interested in some other stuff as well, like a bit more content or context on this new SDA contract announcement. So let's have a look into the next slide that I'm going to bring you into. So first of all, we'll have a look at, this is from the previous earnings that we just went through in Q3. And this is the outlook that hopefully we're looking for. So revenue outlook, we're looking for, or this is what the guidance that Rocket Lab have given, 170 to 180 million, and expect year-on-year increases in both space systems and launch revenue. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins, we'll see GAAP gross margins 37 to 39% and non-GAAP 43 to 45%. The margins are something that I think have actually impressed quite a lot of people, me included, with such a complicated business like the space industry. They're actually making really high margins, and it's been growing, and it grew a lot quicker than me and a lot of people expected. With the operating expenses, we're looking for 122 to 128 million. Be interested to see that, just to see how Neutron spending is going along, basically, and their R&D spending. And then adjusted EBITDA, but not too, well, an EBITDA loss of 23 to 29 million. We want that to be in check, but of course, when we're talking about Rocket Lab and it's growing this fast, we know it's going to be losing a lot of money at this stage. We're looking to see the inflection point later on this year, hopefully, or in 2027, and when they can start being profitable. I think what I also want to go through here is just if we look through Q3, we can see what they're discussing, and we can see for some updates that we're looking for as well in terms of the progress that they're making. So if we go through to, let's start off with the Electron launch. So Electron, want to get a good update on this. We had some good updates last time in terms of the new contracts. We know they had a record year for Electron. So I'm expecting that we're going to get a good update on what Electron, kind of how it's been performing. Any new orders would be great because we know that was very strong earlier in the year, or towards the end of last year, and also what their guidance is for revenue from Electron moving forward. And also look into this as well, HASTE. We know they're performing very well in HASTE, so let's see how they do on that. And also if they're going to give us an increased target on how many HASTE launches they're looking to do this year. And in general, guidance for launches this year is another really big thing we're looking at. They're growing consistently year on year. What can they give us? Can they give us 25 or over, or are they going to go bold and go towards that 30 mark? On track for new annual launch record. We know they hit that, so well done to them. Space systems. So we're looking at payloads. We know they've done the Geost acquisition. Mynaric, we have actually had some news on that, which is taking a long time to go through. We've got German and European bureaucracy, which is holding that on, and all the rules that are involved in acquiring a company. And also it looks like we've got some complications where, especially at the moment with the increased defense spending and the increased focus on defense across Europe and also the US, there are a lot of considerations that have to be made by selling what is essentially a core defense space and defense company outside of Germany and selling it to a US company, even though they'll be operating inside of Germany, a lot of the companies still. I think this is another reason why it's taking a bit longer to close this acquisition. Hopefully we'll get an update on this and hopefully it's still on track. And then future opportunities. They always talk about, they always have an M&A pipeline. What I'm most excited to see about this is payload opportunities and anything that can give us an idea of what kind of constellation that they could be launching in the future. If they can buy a company that's already doing something in that market that they can then scale, it means it's much easier and quicker for us to have a constellation in the future. So it's very interesting to have a look at. And with Rocket Lab, where its market cap is right now at nearly 50 billion, where would it be 40, 50 billion, depending what the stock price is. It's going to be interesting to see what they're kind of looking at, because what they were looking at buying a few years ago when their market cap was 2 to 3 billion, they have so much more powder in terms of cash opportunities and stock opportunities that they can provide to get a company that's much, much larger than it once would have been. Spacecraft will, of course, get a launch on Spacecraft. These Escapade satellites did launch, so it'll be really good to get an update on that, on how they're managing those and some of the progress they're making with those. And any talk about Mars as well does also help us for the Mars Telecommunications Orbiter contract that they are currently bidding on as well. So in general, Mars will be interesting to speak about what their progress is on there. SDA Tranche 2. This is going to be good to get an update, but the most exciting thing is going to be an update on Tranche 3. Since the last earnings, we've had that huge award, the biggest award that Rocket Lab has ever got. And it's going to be quite nice to just go through and talk about what this award involved, why they got it, all the technology that's going to be involved in this, and then when the money starts coming through as well. I'm sure there'll be some questions to Adam Spice on when some of the deliverables will be given towards this Tranche 3. And when we can start getting revenue from it as well. So that's going to be a really interesting thing to look at. Neutron, always an exciting thing to look ahead to. It's going to be a bit more exciting this time because we did, of course, have that test failure with a stage 1 tank. There are a lot of questions that are involved in this that hopefully we're going to get answered. Number one, what does this mean? What was this tank? Was it just a test article or was this due to fly? If it was due to fly, okay, when is the next one going to be in place? We'd also like to know, was this just a problem with that specific article or the test? Or worst case scenario, is this a problem with design? If it means we need to go back and design stuff again, it means that there's going to be a lot more time put into that. And also the articles that they're already making in the run-up are not going to be flight worthy. I am hopeful that they've kind of done enough on the engineering that it isn't a design fault, and it's probably more a flight fault with that particular article. But we're going to learn all about that. And then crucially, we're going to learn about what does this mean for the timeline. Are we going to see them stick into kind of mid-year, or is that going to get pushed towards the end of the year, or possibly, you know, it might even be later than that. Path to first launch. So they're again going to go through the progress of what we've got. So although we've got the bad stuff like that test failure, we're also going to see all the good stuff they're going towards. So hopefully we're going to see progression of multiple Rutherford engines. We'd like to see that they've got loads of these ready to go already. Test stands. We know that from a previous video I did, one of the test stands for the second stage is actually already on the launch mount, ready to go. We might get an update on when this first static fire is going to be. So when they're actually going to light a Rutherford engine on a piece of Neutron hardware, which is going to be really, really exciting to see as well. Update all the major pieces together. Testing structures. I mean, this is just all the stuff that we've got involved with Neutron. And then we'll go into the finances as well. So what we've got at the end here is just basically what we went through at the start, but what we're looking at in terms of revenue, what we're looking at in terms of margins, and what we're looking at in terms of gross margins as well, not just a profit at the end of it. It's also going to be really important to see what their guidance is. So we have seen really strong growth quarter over quarter for quite a while now. Can they keep that going? We all like to hope so, but we'd like to see what the guidance is for Q1. And maybe even they give us something to look at for the whole of the year of 2026 as well. That's something I'm really interested to look at, because if they can continue giving growth, then hopefully we might have our first $200 million quarter coming, which certainly would be very, very exciting. So lastly, we're just going to move on to an update that Rocket Lab have released themselves as well. And again, related to Neutron, but they are keeping us updated on various areas of Neutron. This is the famous Hungry Hippo fairing. So this has arrived at Virginia launch site ahead of its first launch, her first Neutron flight, sorry. This has come all the way from New Zealand. This is a very complicated part. And when this flies, it is going to be the first of its kind. It's going to be a rocket that goes up into orbit, releases its payload, and then captures the fairings back in and brings them all the way back down to Earth, ready to just drop another stage one of the satellite in and ready to go again. So with the Q4 earnings, this is going to come into play as well. We're going to get told a little bit more about this. Hopefully we get shown some more tests related to this as well, which is going to be really exciting, and just see when the Neutrons all want to come together. Because when we can get that first picture of the Neutron fully built on the stand, on the launch mount, ready to go, that's going to be a sight to behold. And that's all we've got really in terms of the earnings. I just wanted to give a run through. Now they've got that official date, we can put that in the calendar and just show you what I'm going to be looking at as well. I love joining into these conference calls. It's good to see the financials, but there's so much exciting stuff that this company's working on. It's just always fantastic to kind of see behind the covers and see all those great things they're working on. So if you're going to be tuning into this, please do let me know. And if you've got any things that you're particularly looking for as well, please do let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what you guys also look at when it comes to this company as well. So I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with another video on Rocket Lab very, very soon.